feel nauseous, believe me. Never had a lot of shit come easy. Had to work hard, struggle just to be me. Had to and what was left over I put towards my dreaming. But the only thing in life that has meaning are the things you gotta work for, believe me. Take into your hands a plan, your own hands can land your own brand. And damn, I feel like no one takes accountability. They want the credibility, convincingly unwilling to put in the hours it takes to get some power. Don't be f***ing sour, take a cold shower. Scream until you're louder, work until you're prouder. And f*** all the doubters, they're just young downers. I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought.
I can tell you that 7 years after Freddie Gray, that was 2015, spring, April, May. This is 2022. Communities like Sandtown, all we saw then and now in terms of investment was a renovated Western District Police Station and a new funeral home. That's what West Baltimore got. A new police station and a new funeral home. What kind of optics are they? Was Freddie Gray any different than 1968 Baltimore riots? Dr. King's passing, killing, murder? This is the same?
No, it wasn't. I mean, I think, well, first of all, people who are being violent and burning, that's, all that's the same. But the point is what was the cause and what were they attempting to register?
I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm off at these fucking clowns.
I love you.
They deserve an ounce. It's got next. And I'll be up. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown. I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm off at these fucking clowns.
First name's Doni, last name's Glover, in it to win it for the long haul, baby. Back in 1981, I had the distinct pleasure of attending Paul Lawrence Dunbar Community High School, and that's where I met this cat at. You gotta unmute yourself, Corwin.
Sure. Good morning, Doni. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. How's it feel?
I'm blessed. Going very well, man. I can't really complain. It's a new year. Things are going well. Starting off with a bang. Happy to be here. I haven't seen your face other than seeing you all around Baltimore online and in your print work in so many years. But I'm good to be here. Good to see you.
You played football, didn't you?
Oh no, I did not. I didn't. No, I didn't play any sports over there. When I first got to Dunbar, initially I said, "Hey, I'm 6'5", I can play a little bit, so why don't I try to play some basketball over here?" But 6'5" in East Baltimore is like 5'7" everywhere else, so it's nothing special. So and it was a lot for me, coming from Cherry Hill, it's 2.5 hours on a bus, 3 hours on a bus just to get over there and to get back. So it was just a lot. So I never even made it. I didn't even play. I made the JV team, didn't play because it was just a lot. There's a lot going on.
JV football?
Basketball.
JV basketball.
Yep.
Okay.
I guess it's just, circumstances were different. For me, it was a lot for me because I didn't really have that push. A lot of guys, everybody pushes them. If a guy has talent in Baltimore, early on, the neighborhood pushes them. The neighborhood supports them. The guys around them push them. So there's a lot of that. I didn't really have a lot of that. And that's a big part of why I poured so much into my sons. All my sons play basketball. And I've had a couple of them. My youngest son that plays Division I basketball. He just transferred over to Bowie State, so he'll be up there next year. He has 2 years left 2 years left in college, so he'll get his master's degree out of there. My middle son, he graduated out of West Virginia Wesleyan basketball scholarship, got his bachelor's. So I pushed them and I supported them. So it's a lot easier when you have when you have somebody in your corner and you have somebody motivating you, those days when you don't really want to do anything or you're feeling kind of lazy, somebody to just give you that little nudge, just enough to get you out the door. Yep.
Did you grow up with your dad?
Not at all. I've never knew my father, so that's always been a struggle for me. But I think as I've got older, what it did, it motivated me. It made me want to be a father that I didn't have. So that's why I made sure that my guys had me every day. Even when
You
my
never met
marriage.
him?
Say again.
You've never met your dad?
Never. And my mother passed away last year, and I still to that day, to this day, we never really had a real conversation. Even then, there was a struggle. It's
For
tough when
who?
you don't. Say it again.
It was a struggle for who?
It's a struggle for me because just knowing that you are your foundation. So your mother pours into you. You want like for me, I wanted to be a father that really poured into my sons, that they always knew that they could call me, that I supported them, that when they needed somebody to say, hey, you can do this, that I gave them that push. When you don't have that and you have a mother who's raising kids, like I have a brother and a sister who's raising 3 kids, we struggling, we don't have any money, we in the projects, we down in Cherry Hill. When you're living that struggle, it's hard to really be able to, you can't be both parents. As strong as a lot of Black women are, you still, there's things that you can't teach a man. You can't teach your son. So they need to have those strong male people in their lives. It doesn't have to be a father, but it has to be some strong Black, positive Black men in their life to give them that foundation.
Is your dad's last name your last name?
No. Back then, and I think they do some of that now. If moms and dads aren't, they not rolling like that, and they're not getting along like that, and they don't have that kind of relationship, you get mom's last name. So I have my grandfather's last name.
So move him out the way. What about his family?
No relationship.
You ever want to know, like, where they come from? Where your dad, your grandfather?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Just because he wasn't there, I mean, there's still family history I'm sure you want to know.
There was a time when I did want to know. And that was what's interesting is when I was in England, I was in the Air Force. So I was stationed over in England. My sister here reached out to me and said, hey, I was called by a young lady who said she was your sister on your father's side. And she sent me some information or whatever, and I tried to reach out, make contact. But there was a lot of stuff going on for me back then. I was struggling in my marriage. I was overseas, away from my support, my family, and so that just was not the time for that because I had so many other things going on. So when I try to reconnect later on, you can't find people. As much as you like to think that we're in a social media era, and you can find this and you can find that, you can Google these people, Google that. It's not as easy as you would think it would be when there's so much time and distance between these relationships.
Suppose it's easier than you think.
Well, I don't know. Like I said, I've tried, and I've tried recently also to try
Did you
to
try
search
Ancestry.com? I'm not the biggest fan of it, but it can give you some information you might not find elsewhere. I don't all the way dig it because of the people who own it. But and if you ask me, they have no sampling of Black indigenous peoples.
Right.
A lot of us don't fathom that Black people had a history in this country long before slavery.
Agree.
We've been brainwashed.
I definitely don't disagree with
that. We've been brainwashed into thinking that we only came here like Roots and Kunta Kinte.
Gotcha. I got you. Yeah.
I don't buy it. I think the Black man was the first person in Europe, South America, North America, all over the world. But
But society. Well, they're trying to brainwash. I mean, they're trying to whitewash, our history, even the history that's here. They're trying to. Like, I don't know if they're trying to protect their kids or whatever it is. They're trying to whitewash Black history. I mean, even recent history. They don't want.
It
They
ain't
don't want.
protecting their kids. It's
Yeah.
continuing a level of ignorance.
Oh, no
It's
question.
ignorant. Not knowing is ignorant.
Absolutely.
Just like a lot of churches and a lot of preachers.
Well, that's another
A
story.
lot of preachers don't know that the oldest church in the world is in Ethiopia.
Right. Well, I have my own issues with church religion, so.
Probably because we got a watered down version here.
Yeah, there's a lot of
first
hypocrisy.
with Jesus being white.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of hypocrisy, and there's a lot
Santa Claus. Santa Claus was a Black man. I keep telling them. They think I'm just losing it. Go look it up. Saint Nicholas was a Black man from Turkey. Don't go up that history tree. You know that's my thing, Corwin.
I do know that. That's one thing I remember. One thing I remember, my brother. No question. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about
what state they're from. I'm just that's my last piece on that. You want to find out what state your grandfathers were from on your dad's, like grandfather, great grandfather, because we have a fascinating history. A lot of times I hear these rappers say, I come from nothing. I come from the bottom. Even growing up in the projects, if you look deep enough up that family tree, you'd be surprised of the nuggets you will find.
I agree.
Suppose you look up your family tree and come to find a dude that look just like you on your dad's side. Will blow your mind.
What's funny about that is, I mean, that's not a whole lot of times I walk out and somebody doesn't walk up to me and call me something else, call me another name because they say, "Oh man, you look just like this guy. You look just like that guy." So I definitely get a lot of that anyway. And you're right. But for me, I spent so much time just taking care and raising my family. That has always been my priority. So and then when you don't, like I said, I've never had that background. So you kind of just like, hey, let me take those things that are missing and try to make sure that my kids don't have to experience that same history, that same background. They know me. They know exactly how much I poured into them. And anybody that knows them, they see 3 fine young men. So given the fact that I didn't have that, I feel like I did a pretty good job.
I need to introduce you to Monique.
Who is
she
Monique?
Has a story similar to yours.
Okay.
And she found her family.
Good deal. Well, since I started this, I just 1st of 2024, my fiance said, "Hey, you mentioned that you wanted to write a book. So when are you going to start?" So that was the kind of the impetus. And then from there, I just started doing, talking to my family, talking to folks around me, this, that, and the other. And that's when I came up with the story from my book, just talking about my life and things I learned along the way, from growing up in Cherry Hill, surviving all of that, my years in the Air Force, those lessons I learned from these other folks, other leaders, and then just family stuff, getting married way too young, raising my family, that kind of stuff. And it goes all the way out to, now as a government contractor supporting, right now I support Homeland Security, but I work for DIA, FBI. I mean, I've worked for several different government agencies and seeing how one-sided a lot of that stuff is and how the politics of just dealing with folks and dealing with Black folks, how it works, so a lot of that, just the lessons from all of these different things and these different aspects are like all the way up to this damn election and Trump getting back in there, how that just came about. So
White privilege. White privilege.
Oh, no question. He's the poster boy. No question. No question.
It's just like people that don't correct their child. When that kid turn around at 15 and smack you in the mouth.
Oh, I've had that conversation.
That's what it's like supporting this cat. When he turn around and smack you in the mouth, don't ask why. Because you
Exactly.
thought it was cute.
Yeah, they'll make excuses
He was
for him.
calling you by your first name and he was only 3 years old. You thought it was cute. Him doing them dances. We do them dances, don't we?
It's a distraction. It's a distraction. I've had that conversation. You know, shit, I've been
We
divorced for
got
like
white men
17
doing
years.
the dance.
And it's crazy. It's crazy. And these are people that are, you know, that folks look at as powerful people. You know, these are supposedly powerful people in society. You know, these are and billionaires and all these other folks, and they're tap dancing like, you know, like little children. You know.
Hey man, before we get too far, I know you want to tell your story, but I ain't wear this damn Dunbar jacket for nothing. You better tell them what Dunbar mean to you.
Dunbar was a
Because you
big
know
part
the
of.
poets out there watching. You know this
That's what's
interview
up.
gonna
Oh,
be
I'm good
all
with
in
that.
Poet Nation.
Then I'm a proud poet. I tell it anybody asks me where I'm from, I tell them, hey, I'm from Baltimore, born and raised. A lot of folks say, hey, you don't sound like you're from Baltimore. I say, you just don't know. You know, I grew up in Cherry Hill. You know, I'm born and bred Baltimore. Everything on social media says born and bred, born and raised in Baltimore. So I'm a Baltimore guy from the heart. And Dunbar is a big part of my life. My mother went to Dunbar. My sister graduated from Dunbar. All my mother's family, they grew up on Chase Street in East Baltimore. So they all went to Dunbar, you know, and that's the reason I went there, you know, because they went there. Big part of the middle part of my life, the younger part of my life was the things and the experiences that I've had with friends that I made at Dunbar, you know. So I'm a poet, you know, and I'm gonna always be a poet. No question.
All right, two more questions. Tell me one thing you learned. And then when did you go to Dunbar? In your 9th grade year or your 11th grade year?
10th grade.
10th grade.
Yep.
Tell me one thing you learned from Julia B. Woodland.
Well, she was there. When we were there. Did you go in the 9th grade or 10th grade?
11th. I came from
You
Powell.
came over the 11th. Yeah, so I went there in the 10th grade. She was on the way out. She was ready to retire when I got there. So,
you was there
but
2 years with her.
when was she there when you got there?
She was there for my 11th.
Oh, so Mr. Gladden came in our senior year then.
We had Elsie Gladden.
That was a senior year.
Senior year was Elsie Gladden.
Okay, see, your memory is a little bit better than mine. You know. But I'll tell you what I think the funniest memory I have about her is we went on one of those Kings Dominion trips. 10th grade year, we went to 10th or 11th, probably 11th grade year. We went on one of those Kings Dominion trips. And being a knucklehead, you know, we took like a 12-pack, put a 12-pack in the cooler. And so we Lowenbrow. So we take Severe on a trip, you know, get caught. You remember Miss Marchand? She was on a bus, you know, so she kind of caught us or whatever. And I'm lying. Oh, it's apple juice. Yeah, she said, no, I don't think so. So we get back to school. We sitting out in front of the principal's office all day. We sitting there all day, ready to get roasted, you know. So we think we're in trouble. You know, I'm sitting there. She comes out. She basically said, that was stupid. I don't want to see you here again. And then she just sent us home. So that was one of those things, like, I was so afraid of what the outcome was going to be. So afraid. But she kind of just like, hey, you know, you made a stupid mistake, you know, learn from your mistake and get the hell out of here was basically what it was. So I don't want to see you here anymore. So that's the one memory, not necessarily a good memory, but that's the one memory that I have, one funny memory that I have of her, is the fact that, you know, she could have done a lot of things to us, but she was more the mother at that point than she was like the disciplinarian. She was like, hey, learn a lesson. You know, you're not a bad kid. You know, I know, you know, I haven't heard anything or haven't even seen you here before. So learn your lesson. Don't do it again. And you know, just do better next time. So
Tell me one thing you learned from Elsie Gladden.
Dr. Glad caught us cutting class one day. We out in we out. Everything. It's the only time I ever dealt with these administrators was when I didn't do something right. Because I was just kind of a square. So I was just going to class, doing what I had to do.
Goody two shoes. You
Yeah,
kept
I was a
getting
square.
locked up.
Yeah. So I never had to deal with them. So both of my memories of dealing with the principal is on these types of things, right? So we out. I think we skipped class or whatever. Me and a couple of the guys, we get caught out in the quad. Well, I didn't get caught. We hiding. He got caught. I don't want to name no names because I don't want nobody to get mad at me. But
we don't want no stuff. Hey, not on this show.
He got caught. We
didn't. You didn't.
It's in my book though. I named names in there. Yeah, I named names in there, so you might be in the book. If you're listening, you might be in the book. No, not you, Donnie. I'm just saying, if you're listening, you might be in the book. There's a couple stories about some Dunbar different things, folks in Dunbar, this, that, and the other, that are part of my story. So they're in there. But yeah. So that was him
Who was
walking
your ace down at Dunbar?
Terrence Johnson came from Cherry Hill with me. So we used to come in every day on the bus together. So he was out in Cherry Hill with me. Mark Ray used to hang out.
Bus ride?
We had to catch two of them. So it was 2 hours. Yeah, it was
you
2
had
hours.
No relatives you could have moved with?
Nah, man.
No,
it was it was a choice. That was a choice I made when I decided I wanted to come out there. It was quite a few people coming out there from Cherry Hill, though. I know at least 4 or 5 people that used to come out there from Cherry Hill.
Y'all couldn't find a car?
No, man, the bus was it.
You ain't come on here to talk about Dunbar. Let's hear it. Just the dad.
Just the dad, man. My book, sharing the lessons that shaped my life as a single father.
You got it.
I have right now. I have a proof copy, but they're available for pre-order.
Man, hold that book up, man. You got to hold your baby up. That's your baby.
That's it, man. That's it. Like I said, this is a proof copy, so this one still needed some work. So it's ready to go. I'm going to get them in the next week or so. So I'll be. I've had some pre-orders. Some folks are supporting me. Have pre-ordered the book, so I'll have it out. I'll start getting it out in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, man, this is one of those things.
Will it be available on Barnes & Noble, Amazon?
It'll be available everywhere after February. After the 1st of February, it'll be available everywhere. If you want a signed copy, I'll sign it for you. If you want a signed copy, just follow me on any of social media. My name, Corwin Melvin.
Are you going to have a book signing?
That's going to be tough.
I gotta teach you about hustling, man.
Yeah. That's going to be tough. That was something that we had talked about. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
Hey, look here, man. It's like, hey, you grew up around, just like I grew up around drug dealers. You got to re-up. When you sell out, you got to go. David, man, you need some mentors. I need to hook you up with some of my friends. But you got to sell it and you got to restock it. And when you sell one, you might as well get ready to write your third one. But
I'm already working on my second one.
But you also got to grow your network. So when you do come out with a book, you got people to help you get it out there. And you need a book signing right away.
Absolutely. Okay.
Matter of fact, I'm going to offer you a book signing right here on this show. Are you in town on February 22nd?
Absolutely.
So you need to have your book down at the Black Wall Street Expo. Can we get a commitment from you?
Yes.
That's February 22nd.
Write that down. I got you.
I need to introduce you to you looks like you got a graphics person. You get that graphics person to do your book signing flyer. You ever got a flyer made before?
I have not. But
Did
what
I
I'll
tell
do
you
is
I have a marketing and public relations company, Corwin.
You did not, but now that I know,
I got to be more news. We got this network here. Well, the parent company is DM Global, Marketing Public Relations. We're not going to sting you too bad. You got my number.
Sounds good, Donnie.
All right, so let's get into it.
Okay, so I think the biggest part of my story and the biggest the real impetus for me writing the book is my struggle with custody and the visitation and child support aspect of my life, but just dealing with that process. So I got divorced in 2007, right? But prior to that, I had been separated for a couple years. I petitioned for custody of my sons through the courts down in Virginia. After, we stayed married. A lot of times we stayed married, and folks say we stayed married for the kids. We stay in relationships way too long because we have children, and we want to make sure that that they're taken care of, and we give them that foundation, and we want to make things work because we want our kids to have both parents in the house. But there are situations that you can be in, or there are times that those relationships just aren't working. And the kids see how, that you aren't getting along, and you have to decide, is it better for us to stay together or to separate? And sometimes it's just better for you, your mental health, and your kids to separate, because it's just so toxic in a relationship. So that's where I got in my relationship. So I stayed a lot longer than I probably should have. After a couple conversations with a couple attorneys, one told me, he said, Mr. Melvin, I know you feel like society says that dads cannot get custody of their children. The kids should always be with their mom. But let me tell you, there are places that you can go, courses that you can go into, where you will be given an equal opportunity, that your voice will be heard, and you have a chance. So once I heard that,
why did custody become an issue?
because I didn't have my father. And two things: there was no way I was going to let another man raise my sons. And
was
two,
the mother not raising your son
without me? No. There was no. It wasn't like she was on a pipe or nothing like that. It was I just felt like
she blocked you from seeing your sons.
Well, they've always been with me. They've never not been with me. So even when I was going,
I'm confused.
Okay, when we separated,
not been with her.
Yeah, they've always been with me. So I've raised them.
No. When they were born, she had them.
We were together. I was married for 17 years. So I was married for 17 years. Things started really going south that last 3 or 4. So when we separated, she moved out. So they were still with me. And then when that whole thing was going on and she was out of the house, that's when I petitioned for custody. Right? Because two things. Because I knew that I would, for me as a father, as somebody who I knew that I could do it myself. I could do it. I could raise my sons. I could be there for them, and I had the resources to make sure that they had everything that they need. I didn't necessarily trust that I would have the same access to them if they were with her.
So she moved out.
Yes. Well, yeah. Well, circumstances had her moving out.
She won custody?
Yes. So it wasn't some harmonious situation. It was a battle. So you're talking about social services intervening, home studies. You're talking about a guardian ad litem for the kids. So a lawyer assigned to the kids. So you're talking about all of these different aspects of it. So yes, yeah. So it was for me. It was never I'm not going to be there as a full-time father. So if you don't want to be in this relationship, that's your decision. But you're not going to shake their lives up because you don't want to be in this relationship. So yeah. So the conversation was.
What was her take on it?
It was not that. No, she was not happy about that. So it took years, for us to be able to be cordial. Because I think it's a lot. It's a lot for a mom to have to tell somebody that they don't have their children, that the kids are somewhere else.
Hell
You know,
yeah.
so dealing with all of that. But I mean, that's not my issue. My issue is not your ego. My issue is making sure that my kids have the things they need, and raising these young men. So so we go through this process. I go into court. She sits there with her lawyer, 45 minutes of like slamming me and disparaging me and lying about me, a lot of things that were not true. And once it's my turn to speak, the judge says, "Hey, Mr. Melvin, do you have anything?" Um, the only reason I'm here, sir, is to have an opportunity to raise my sons. I'm not going to say anything negative about her because I need her help. She's their mother; they love her, but I just want to have that opportunity, So
So when she left, did your sons go to see her?
yeah, she had visitation. She got to visit. It's
No,
the same
before the courts got involved.
before the courts got involved. Yeah, they saw her. They got to see her. Well, the courts were involved right away, though. Right away, because like I said, there were some other
How
things
old
that.
were they when she left?
Say it again. How old were they?
When she left.
Oh, my youngest was 4, so they were 4, 7, and 10. I see your face. Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was. They were young. They were young. But she's always had access to them. It's not like I took them and ran away. It was I'm the parent just like she's the parent. There's nothing that says that one person is better at that job than the other one. So if I think that I can do it, and I think that there are things that are missing on that side, I don't think that she would. All my sons play sports. So I mean, when they were in the house, we in the gym every day. We on the road every weekend. She's not built for that. So all of these things, and like I said, they were 4, 7, and 10 at that point. Already 2 of them were already traveling with sports, doing stuff. So I'm like, well, I don't want them to miss out on opportunities because you don't feel like going this weekend, or you don't feel like doing this weekend, or you don't feel like doing that, or just day-to-day stuff. I'm at the schools, I'm at talking to teachers, I'm doing homework, I'm doing all these other things. My middle son had an IEP in middle school for his reading. He was struggling in reading, so that was identified in middle school. So for him, I'm putting in the work. By the time he went to high school, he didn't have an IEP anymore because we put in the work. So I knew what my responsibility was, my focus was, and that was to make sure that these guys, excuse me, had all of the tools they needed to be successful, whether it's in going into high school or going into college. I wanted to make sure that they were ready for those things. And I know that I'm built for it. I knew that I was built for it. I knew that I could give them all of those things that they needed. I wasn't sure that she was necessarily built for it. A great mom every other weekend, 6 weeks during the summer, every other Thanksgiving, alternate Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays. That's fine. But every day to day, I didn't feel like that was the best place for them. So I fought to do that myself. And the judge agreed with me. So, and then a year later,
I'm going to keep it 100 with you.
Mm-hmm.
Rarely do we hear of moms being denied custody.
Absolutely.
Unless it was something extreme.
Right.
We're not trying to tear that lady down. But something missing here, Corwin.
Well, there are things that tear relationships.
I can hear the women in my life watching this show. I'm thinking about the women in your family.
Right.
And the women in her family and men in her family. So what is the purpose of Just a Dad? What is the purpose of your book?
The purpose of my book is to tell single men, so tell fathers that you can be a bigger presence in your kid's life. There's a process, there's a way that you go into it. You don't have to just take whatever day she offers you. You don't have to just pay whatever child support the court tells you. You don't have to just take it. You have a voice and you can stand up for yourself as long as you approach it the right way. You know, so you can't, you don't have
What
to
is
go
the
into
right
it
way?
already defeated.
Because what
Say
is the
again.
right way?
What is it?
Because we have 70% single mother households. Most dads, I imagine, are not in your position, but more of the single father, baby mama
Right.
situation.
The right way.
Mother has full custody. It's the father taking care of the child support. It's the father seeking some type of visitation and or
Right.
custody. So your story is not the norm.
I agree, and
It
that's why I
used to
wrote the
be the
book.
norm maybe back in the 50s when black people were more married than white people.
Right.
But
The
2024, 2015, 2010, nah.
no, not the case.
Nah.
Not the case. So just imagine being on the other side of that. So I knew that it wasn't easy for her, you know. So but it wasn't about, you know, making things easy necessarily for her. It was about making sure that my sons had what they needed, you know. So
Well, you
we
come back
could
to that like a lawyer.
we could have all, I mean, we could have always, we could have always, you know, I always offered, hey, you know, we can sit down and we can work this thing out, and we can, we can do this thing this way, and we can make sure that all of these things, because I told her, I said, you know what, if you had custody of my sons, you would see me every day, because I would live right across the street, right up the street. I would make sure that they always had access to me.
That's called stalking.
No, that's called making yourself available to your children. I'm not there for her.
I don't
If
want
I'm
to be
there,
across the street from my ex.
No, I wouldn't have a problem with that, because I don't have a relationship with her, you know. So that's her and her
You
life.
don't, in your mind, but a woman who you start dealing with, it's gonna cause problems.
I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that, because I knew my focus growing up. Well, my focus with my kids was my kids. You know, I dated while I had them in the house, but I didn't have any like serious
And what
long-term
about when you
relationships.
do see dude going in her house, her new man?
She's been married a couple times. I mean, she's been married since we got divorced. So I never had a problem with that.
Corwin, we live in a world where cats be snapping.
You wouldn't have to worry about you, and none of them had to worry about me.
But you live across the street.
Up the street, across the street. Well, put it like this: they would have access to me, just like they have access to her.
I don't
So
have to live on
wherever
the
that
street
is,
for my kid to have access to me. That's
right,
all I'm saying.
right. I get that. Well, I'm built different than a lot of people. That was always my focus, to make sure. But that's also why I fought to not to have to deal with that.
You
That's
see how
also
you
why
got caught back in high school? You didn't get to sip the lawn brows.
that was a lesson learned. That was a lesson learned. But I mean, in my book, I tell that story about, you know, just that. I mean, if you say you want access to your kids, or you want these things, then you have to show up. You can't just come into court and you don't know where they go to school at. You don't know who their teachers are. You don't know
I'm not
You don't
talking about
know,
being ignorant.
huh? There's a lot
We're
of
not
guys that
talking
don't.
about being ignorant. I'm talking about staying out there jail.
That's another thing. That's another thing. But that's what your foundation is what keeps you out of jail. You know, your foundation, your circle, making the right decisions, and you teach your kids how to make decisions. What's not a good decision? What's a bad decision? You know, those are lessons learned. You know, so if you don't have anybody
Have you
telling
given
you
her
that,
a
hey,
copy of your book?
that's another no.
Hey, look, we got lawyers on here. I'm trying to keep you safe, baby. Billy
No.
Murphy, Robert DeShields. I know. Okay, anyway.
Well, it's going to be out. I mean, it's going to be on all platforms, so it's available. You know, it's all over my social media. You know, we don't necessarily follow each other, but I'm sure her family follows me. You know, her brothers and I are like this. You know, because they know the kind of man I am. They know
What's your
how.
sons gonna say?
Say again.
What are your sons gonna say when they read the book?
Well, I talked to them.
You read Dad's book,
right? They're gonna get it. I'm gonna give them all a copy signed. But I talked to them through this whole thing while I was writing. I said, hey, you know, there's some things that you may be uncomfortable with, but it's my story. So if you have any questions about anything, or if there's anything that bothers you about it, then we can talk about it. You know, I don't have a problem with that, because kids learn how to deal with relationships from you. So if you can't talk your way through these different types of relationships, then how are they ever going to learn how to do that?
Did they talk to you about anything?
They haven't mentioned anything. And I've been writing this thing since February, March. So, and you see, I've been posting stuff. I post snippets, I post parts of it, I post different topics, I post videos on, my background and how I grew up. So I've been posting things, and they know, they know how that process was from their perspective. So they know they went through a lot, but I did protect them from a lot of what was going on, so. But I'm okay with them reading it. There's nothing in there that I'm ashamed of. There's some things. Well, there's some things in there that are that you would say, well, wow, you know, why would you put this? How do you feel comfortable about putting this in a book? Because there's nothing that I'm like, hey, I wish I'm ashamed of. I'm a grown man. I accept responsibility for everything that I've done. So it kind of is what it is. And they're grown men now. My youngest is 23. So if you want to have a conversation about something that happened then, maybe it'll help you as you make decisions on the women you date, the person you marry. Maybe talking through these things will help you as you make those decisions.
Has your selection process improved since
since the first one? Well, I was 24.
And no slight, I don't know, sister, but I guess I'm asking, how do you think you have matured as a man? Because I ain't one out here, this sister come hitting me upside the head and say, you ain't, I got to be fair. She ain't here to defend herself. But how have you evolved, developed as a man?
Well, I think the big part of any relationship is communication and being able to communicate. And I think for us, we struggle with it a lot of times. It's definitely as Black men, we struggle with it. So as I've had more.
Well, you say definitely that, like white men don't struggle in communication, or
because I'm only to speak from my perspective. I don't even really talk about that because I don't really care.
You in the Air Force, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you were with men from all over the country.
Yeah, I've been around. Yeah, I've been all over the place. But my singular focus has always been on the Black man and how we move through life. So that's a whole different thing, different story. So they are who they are.
Story though,
right? But I accept them. I accept that. I accept white folks for who they are. I don't expect any more from them than what they present to me. So I take people at face value until you give me a reason not to. But when I'm talking about you just communicating with women and Black women, I've learned that I need to be more open. It's things that a lot of times we kind of keep things to ourselves. Our ego and our pride won't let us say this, won't let us say that. Those kinds of things. That's why we're struggling a lot of times in relationships, because we're guarded. We're protecting our ego, protecting ourselves, when those vulnerabilities are what opens you up to being somebody loving you, and opens your ability to love other people. By giving more of you, then you are able to be able to receive more of that next person. So for me,
what makes you think? So you do know that Black women feel the same way, and I'm not saying in terms of communication, but since we're talking about Black people, Black men have played a role in the trauma experienced by Black women.
Oh, no question.
A lot of us have been promiscuous, whorish, pimpish, disrespectful.
Absolutely. So you can't
we've caused some of that pain, our generation, let alone some of their own fathers.
Yeah, and other men in their lives.
Other family members, and then other men in their lives.
Right. I agree.
So both have been traumatized.
So how do you bridge that?
That's what I'm asking you. Communication, but the communication is needed on both sides.
Oh, no question. So you have to I was single for a year, so I talked to a lot of single women.
How many years?
I got divorced in 2007. So I've been divorced as long as I was married, 17 years. So just in having conversations with women and meeting women and dating women, I tell them, I say, well, two things. You have to date the kind of man that you want. If somebody's not offering what you want, then why are you wasting your time with them? And you have to be intentional. You know, for me, once I realized that, hey, I'm getting a little older, I don't want to be by myself the rest of my life. And I've been single and dating all these different people. So it's like you meeting all of these different personalities and stuff. And every time you meet somebody new, you got to start over. So, and that's not, that gets old. So at some point you start to start focusing in on what you really want and the type of person you really want and what type of person is really going to fit your life. And then you only spend time with those types of people. If you're dating these people that are out here doing whatever, and that's not what you want, why are you wasting your time on? Why are you wasting your time?
Did I hear that you're getting married?
Oh yeah, I got engaged this past summer.
Congratulations.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. So like I said, it's been a struggle. You spend a lot of time just dating people just to date. When my kids were young and in the house, I was not interested in getting married again because I know the focus that it really takes work to build that type of a relationship with somebody, and it takes time.
Oh, come on, Corwin. You're tall, Dunbar boy. You mean nothing all that time? Ain't none of them girls hit on you, man? Oh, Corwin, let me make macaroni and cheese and pot roast for you and the boys. I'll bring it over.
Yeah, well, yes.
And all that time, Corwin, ain't none of them women hit on you.
Oh, I'm not telling that. I'm not gonna tell that lie. But even with that, there's something that comes with that. So there's a Tuesday or Wednesday night and they want to hang out and I can't because I got this with the boys or this, that, and the other. Then all of that patience that was out there and all of that desire that was up there up front, it's not there anymore. Or you're never available. Or you can't do this, you can't do that. And I said, well, I told you that when we met that, hey, my life is very busy. I got 3 sons, they're all very active. So I don't have a whole lot of time, so I knew that I didn't have enough time, the kind of time that it would take to build a relationship, to focus in on a relationship. And I was fine with that. But now they're all going.
Who should pick up your book?
Who should pick up my book? Any single man, any man who wants to just hear different things from a different perspective. So especially from the city. If you're in the city or whatever, and you have kids, and you're raised, and you don't have your kids, or you don't have custody of your kids, and you want some ideas on how things that you can do with your kids, things that you can do in the system to help give yourself like a little bit more. Now, I don't want to say advantage, but just give you more leverage in getting more days or getting more to spend more time with your kids, more time to raise your kids, and how to just differences in how to raise your sons. Because nowadays,
hold your book up. You want to get this air time. Let me teach you a little basic. Now move it to the side. Stop covering your face. Sit up a little bit. There you go. Then keep talking.
So just
matter of fact, I'm gonna give you the full screen. You're gonna get your elevator pitch together while people start. 5, 4.
Okay, so there's so much in my book. A lot of it is based on where I was at a particular points in life. But there are lessons that can help anybody, so growing up in the projects and just making it out and, going to college and when I wasn't successful in college and didn't do necessarily what I needed to do, the reasons I went in the Air Force, the reason I chose the job that I chose when I went into the Air Force and how that's shaped my life. That decision of when I left school and just the job that I picked when I went into the military has changed everything for me. So lessons on how I did those things, fighting custody, going through that process in 2 different jurisdictions, dealing with different different social services agencies, different guardians for kids, different judges, just going into the court, presenting yourself in a way that shows that you are built for being a primary caregiver. And if you don't have, or if you don't really want full custody, it shows you how you can get more time with your kids. Even if the judge sets out an order and you get every other weekend, use this, that, and the other, there's a way to mitigate that. So I talk about that. If you're paying child support and you think you're paying way too much, and this, that, and the other, there's a way to mitigate that. I talk about that in my book. And I know there's a lot of people who are listening who have issues with child support. So I talk about that. There's a way that you can by manipulating your days and these kinds of things, you can mitigate that and you can drop it down. My ex initially had to pay child support when we separated and divorced, because she got the trick. She knew exactly what to say when she went into court. She knew how to manipulate the calendar, this, that, and the other. She wound up basically paying $38 a month for 3 kids. And for me, if you have children and a judge has to tell you that you should support your kids, then that speaks to your character. That speaks to the kind of person you are. So just that alone was impetus enough, and that kind of supported why I knew that I was making the right decision. So all of that is in my book on how you can mitigate some of that stuff because she did it. So I know how it works. Um, so that's a big part of it. That's a big part of it, and just dealing with just relationships in general, family dynamics, all of those kinds of things. Just lessons learned through all of those things. I even talk about I had an issue with I was working for US Stratcom. This one of the military organizations. They had an office out of Fort Meade. I had to file a racial discrimination complaint with EEO. So there's some things on dealing in hostile work environments, dealing with different people, dealing with folks who have these deep-seated racial issues or whatever, that have problems dealing with Black folks, especially Black folks who are very confident in what they do and very confident in what they do. A lot of folks have a problem with that. So they don't know necessarily how to deal with it in a positive way. So they fall back into how they've been raised. So you deal with that kind of stuff. So I talked through how I dealt with that, was dealing with this EEO complaint and just dealing with different types of people at work, all the way up to this last election. Just going into it and just how I saw that whole thing, manifest itself. So there's some stories all the way, like I said, from the fact that my upbringing, without a father, and how that gave me the strength and the perseverance to really want to be there for my sons all the way through. And I even talk about dating, online dating. I went through that whole process. I don't know many people who haven't met somebody that they met online. Just dealing with that, and how to choosing the right people, and all of the pitfalls that come with dating online. And then meeting my fiance. I met her online. Just meeting somebody, being intentional, and really, really knowing what it is you want, where you are in your life, and getting as old as we are. We're not 20 anymore, so just running around and chasing women thing, is in the rearview mirror. So wanting to find somebody who really fit my life, who was positive, and who could, when I was having a bad day, who can give me that little bit of a nudge, um, going through that process, and getting engaged and that kind of stuff. So I talk about a lot of different things in the book, but it's all about, just sharing lessons throughout those parts of my life.
Okay. So you be selling this book on February 22nd at the Downtown Cultural Arts Center at the Black
Yep,
Wall Street Expo.
I'll be there.
Okay.
I'll be there. I'll be there, and I'll offer signed copies. I think it's a good read, and the good thing about the book is, even though
You did
I'm a
very well, by the way.
oh, thank you, I appreciate that. Even though it's from my perspective, there are things in here that if I'm a Black woman and I have sons, there are things in there that information that's pertinent to both. It's not just a man raising a son, it's just raising sons in general. So there's those kinds of things, especially sons now. So times are different than they were when we were growing up. So they're dealing with a lot of different distractions and all these other different influences. So there's information there about just how I dealt with a lot of that stuff. Because like I said, my youngest is 23, so he's right in the middle of it. The kinky hair and all that stuff. So we talked through some of that stuff in there also. So there's stuff in there for everybody. It's not just for men. There's stuff in there where women can say, hey, well, this is what guys. This is how a guy would approach the situation. This is how a man would approach the situation. A man who's been through it, who has 3 kids, this, that, and the other, and they were young. I started when my youngest was 4. So that's all they know is being around me, being with me. I mean, my young son calls me every day. Even though right now he's at his mom's house waiting for school to start. So that's the relationship we have and that we built. So, and then now, I finally became a pop, so I'm feeling pretty good about where I am right now.
Good deal. How can people get in touch with you?
I'm all over social media. My name is on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Corwin.Melvin, or a variation of it. My name is pretty unique, so it's not not hard to get it. It's Corwin.Melvin. I'm everywhere. If you want to email me, you can email me at corwin.melvin@hotmail.com. I'm probably one of the last people that still use Hotmail. Because I'm too lazy to change my email address, and I figure everybody has it, so I don't
That's
want
not
to
a
change
good
it all
thing.
over the place.
Don't say that. Just go on over to Gmail, get yourself, this is 2025. If
Yeah,
you're
it's
gonna
time
be
to make
real
that move.
old, come on with an AOL.
Nah, yeah, well, yeah.
It's
I may
Hotmail. What's
I
the
may be able
difference?
to dig that out actually.
Now get yourself a Gmail. Coming to the 21st.
I do have a Gmail account. Yeah, so this is the one I always go back to because it's easier because it's my name. So there's not many Corwin Melvins in the world. So yeah, I'm everywhere. I'm all over social media under my name. There's links to my book on all of my social media accounts. And if you want to just reach out, share a story, feel free to hit me up. I talk a lot, so I don't have a problem having a conversation. So if you want to talk about some of this stuff, feel free to hit me up. Like I said, I'm at corwin.melvin@hotmail.com. I'm corwin.melvin all over social media, any of the TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, anywhere you want to see me, you can reach out to me, send me a message if you want to talk, and or if you have any questions, and I'm here. We can talk about it.
Is this your first interview?
This is, and I appreciate it, Don.
Okay.
I
We
definitely
made
appreciate
history
it.
again.
Yes. So when I sold my first pre-order, Robin Cornish, we went to Dunbar High School with Robin. She was the
Freckles.
first person to pre-order my book. You remember Robin?
She had freckles.
Robin had the freckles. Yeah, Robin's cool. So she was the first person to pre-order my book. So yeah, I'm gonna throw something a little special in there for her.
Okay.
But hey, it's February the 22nd. We'll be at the Black Wall Street Expo with signing copies of my new book.
Good stuff. Good deal, Corwin. Thank you for watching us. Good morning, world.
Thanks, Donnie.